As per Queen Fluttershy's dare, Shadow Weaver stepped into the dusty, run-down building known as the Dead Man's Barn. It sat in the middle of the woods in the Nightmare Realm. Immediately, Shadow Weaver sensed that a familiar presence had been in there recently. Upon further inspection, she discovered the skeletal remains of a man. Shadow Weaver inquired as to who this man might be. Of course, she knew full well who it was. Her old foe, the Nightmare Tyrant. The Nightmare Tyrant was, in truth, a craven coward. All his power came from terror. When he was not terrorizing his own subjects, he was trying to steal the power of others. He had already tried to make use of the power of the Nightmare Court, but the four kings had fled. Instead of fighting him directly, the Nightmare Tyrant had sent his servants to capture them. Thus, he turned to using his own fear to control others. Shadow Weaver confronted the Nightmare Tyrant.
You are a coward. In fact, you are a coward for all the other worlds. Only the cowardice you feel in your own world is your own,
she said. The skeleton stirred and took on the form of the Nightmare Tyrant.
Huh? I see you've made friends with the new rulers. How delightful. Perhaps you can convince them to give you a position,
he said.
Or you could always try threatening me.
Don't patronize me,
Shadow Weaver said.
Why are you in the Dead Man's Barn?
Nostalgia, perhaps.
The Nightmare Tyrant mused.
So many happy memories here. This was once a Nightmare Man's house, you know, before I did what I did to him.
Your reign will soon end. Fluttershy is coming for you.
I will devour her like I did your family, Weaver of Shadows.
With that, Shadow Weaver unleashed a blast of lightning. The Nightmare Tyrant howled in pain as Shadow Weaver sent him flying into a nearby wall.
That was easy,
she said.
Now let's go finish the rest of the way to the Nightmare King's palace and save the friends of the man who lived here.
Yes, keep killing shadows.
The Nightmare Tyrant chuckled as he turned to smoke.
We'll meet again, Shadow Weaver, soon.
Well, death?
She replied. She shut the door on the Nightmare Tyrant.
Well, what did you see in there?
Discord asked when she returned to the group.
I saw the Nightmare Tyrant.
She answered.
He was an abomination. He was a shadow of his former self. He was defeated easily enough.
Did you see any of my friends?
Waluigi asked, returning from his walk.
No, I didn't see any sign of the others. I fear the worst for them,
Shadow Weaver said.
Let's go visit them.
Waluigi said. They went to a large portal with a curved wall. Upon entering, the portal stretched out in a straight line until it ended at a large, ornate metal door, with smaller doors along the top. The group went to the door and found it open. They went inside to find themselves in a long hallway. There was a small reception desk at the end. A man stood behind it.
Welcome to the Four Corners Hotel. Please put your weapons on the desk,
he said. The group did as the man asked. He led them to an elevator. When everyone was safely inside, he pressed the button to go to the 15th floor. They went up the elevator to find they were on the correct floor. There was a sign beside the elevator. It said, "The Four Corners Suite." The group went to the door at the end of the hall and found it open. They went inside to find a large and rather elegant sitting room. There were 4 large leather chairs and a small round table in the center. On one wall was a flat-screen TV. There was a piano along another wall. There was a man and a woman playing the piano.
Please make yourself comfortable. Can I get you anything? I can get you some water, tea, coffee, orange juice or milk,
said the man.
How about a glass of red wine?
Asked the woman. The man looked at her and said,
I don't know who you are, dear, but I don't think you should serve alcohol to these young people. They're here to study.
What is this place?
Fluttershy asked.
This was my parents' hall,
said the woman.
It's been in the family for generations.
Is this your home? Are you the owner?
Don't listen to that,
Shadow Weaver said.
Their minds have been destroyed by the Nightmare Tyrant.
No, this isn't my home,
said the woman.
But it's the most I can do for these young people at the moment.
The Nightmare Tyrant was here, wasn't he?
Fluttershy asked.
Where is he now?
The woman looked around and said,
I wouldn't want to be here when he gets back.
When will that be?
Not too long, I hope,
said the woman.
He's not coming back,
said the man.
He's gone to the stars.
He'll be back. The Nightmare Tyrant always comes back,
said the woman.
I hope so,
said the man.
You see, these two were friends of the original Nightmare Man.
Shadow Weaver explained.
The tyrant splintered and corrupted his friends to drive him mad, in a bid to create a new king to replace the ancient ones. It didn't work, but the damage was done.
How do you know that?
The woman asked.
Oh, it's a long story,
said Shadow Weaver.
These people are the Nightmare Tyrant's original victims.
You're from the stars,
the woman asked.
Yes,
said the Shadow Weaver.
I'm an agent of the starship Orion.
We are the first fruits,
said the man.
Their minds really are shattered,
Fluttershy said, tears welling in her eyes.
No, don't cry, my dear,
said the woman.
I'm sure there's a place for you in the Orion.
We're not really in a position to.
Fluttershy began.
I wouldn't let the Nightmare Tyrant corrupt you.
Said the woman.
Come and live with us. You'll be safe with us.
That's very kind of you.
Fluttershy looked first to Shadow Weaver, then to Alcina, and lastly to Discord.
Isn't there anything we can do to help them? They seem very sweet.
I'm sorry.
Said Shadow Weaver.
Their suffering was a result of the Nightmare Tyrant's actions. And there is nothing I can do.
Nothing.
Asked Alcina.
But there might be something you can do, Fluttershy.
Discord said.
Now that you are the Nightmare Queen, you might be able to reverse what the Nightmare Tyrant did to them.
No, I can't think of anything.
Said Fluttershy.
Maybe there is something we can do for them. Let's try to get them out of this terrible place.
Do you think you could travel to the stars?
The man asked.
If you went to the Nightmare Realm, you could travel to the stars.
I guess.
Said Fluttershy.
I've never tried anything like that before.
Here,
Said the man.
I have some space dust. Mix it with this and you might become a powerful teleporter when you sleep.
We don't know how it works or what it's going to do to me.
The woman said.
I'm willing to gamble it'll be safer than traveling with these people.
The man said. He handed Fluttershy a box of raisins. She stared at it blankly.
What's this for?
It was my favorite snack as a little girl.
Said the man.
Here, you might need it.
Thank you.
Don't eat all of them.
I'll try not to.
Said Fluttershy, taking the raisins and stuffing them into her pocket.
We should try to get some sleep.
Said Shadow Weaver.
I'll watch over you, my dear.
And the four of them lay down to sleep. When they woke up, it was daytime.
Morning.
Said Shadow Weaver.
How are you feeling?
Much better.
Said Fluttershy.
The dust is still cooking.
Said the man.
It's best to wait a few hours before eating it.
How far are we from the Nightmare Realm?
Asked Fluttershy.
Not far.
Said Shadow Weaver.
We've only traveled half the circle.
That's pretty far in terms of nightmare miles.
Said Fluttershy.
The Nightmare Tyrant is a powerful tyrant.
Said Shadow Weaver.
It would be unwise to challenge him to a duel. You will need to use your powers sparingly.
Does it feel different?
Asked the woman.
Being a Nightmare Queen.
It does.
Said Fluttershy.
It seems like we've been here for a really long time.
Said the woman.
That's because we have
How long?
days.
That's not even close to a year.
Said the woman.
I can't even imagine what it would be like to be a Nightmare Queen for a year.
We've been through hell, and I still don't know what those dim reasons are for.
You really should ask the dust-faced ghosts to explain things.
Said Shadow Weaver.
I've been meaning to,
Said Fluttershy.
but they've been avoiding me.
I can't understand why.
Said the man.
You've been a very busy nightmare, Ewing. Still, I think you've earned them the right to hear your request.
Really?
Said Fluttershy, smiling.
Absolutely.
Then I suppose it's my turn to ask something.
Asked away.
Said Shadow Weaver. Fluttershy looked at the man and woman.
What are the dust face ghosts?
The man looked at the woman and shrugged.
It's a long story.
We shouldn't be talking about them, should we?
Asked the woman cautiously.
They're trying to keep a low profile.
I think it's perfectly fine to talk about them.
Said Fluttershy.
I like to know more about them.
Would you hear it from me or mine? Associate.
Asked the man.
Because she hasn't been in contact with us for a while.
You'll find out soon enough.
Said Fluttershy.
Just tell me where they are.
They were a group of very odd individuals.
Said Shadow Weaver.
They came in many different shapes and forms. Some were animals, others were machines, some were deformed or looked like they suffered great pains. A few still walked on two legs, but others crawled on their bellies or used crutches to walk. They came in every shape and size. One of them was as large as a horse.
I don't recall seeing any horses in the Nightmare Realm.
Said Fluttershy.
They want real ones.
Said Shadow Weaver.
Or at least, I don't think they were.
Doesn't matter.
Said the man.
We all know they are nothing but nightmares. Anyway, these were the ghosts of those who had died in the Nightmare Realm. Not surprisingly, they were very angry and bitter. They were also incredibly pale, almost as if they weren't exposed to sunlight for too long. They all wore dark, almost black cloaks with hoods, and they used to lurk around in the shadows. It wasn't unusual for one of them to come out into the light of day, but they never stayed for long. One of them was always lurking near me. You could hear them whispering to each other too. It sounded like they were planning something. We couldn't see them, but we could tell when they were near. They were always watching us, but never speaking, and whenever they'd come out into the light, they sprinted away as fast as their little legs would carry them.
That's a funny story.
Said Waluigi.
What's that? Lost, hurt, your head, your face goes.
That was just a campfire story.
Said Shadow Weaver.
Those were no dust-faced ghosts. They were something different. But those who heard the story never wanted to get too close to them. And then one night they just disappeared.
Don't you think that? They might be ones we're looking for the ones who are you come.
Asked Waluigi.
I don't know. They were deformed in hiders, and no one wanted to get too close to them, but their whispers were strange. They weren't quite like the Nightmare Tyrant or the Nightmare King either. They were more like Between those two, they were in a constant state of agitation and their whispers were different. As I said, they were whispering to each other, but they never really spoke aloud, just to themselves, and once in a while, one of them would say something that sounded like a word.
Candy's gone! Bring on those, they always taste. No, easy.
Asked Waluigi.
I couldn't say for sure. They never came right out and tried to hurt us, but they were always keeping watch once. I think I felt the sharp edge of a blade. I'm not sure. It felt like someone was trying to cut through me, but that's not impossible. As I said, they never spoke darkly and they were always lurking in the darkness. I was never able to see them, but I could always tell they were there. Maybe if we can lure one out of the shadows, then the others will leave us alone. They don't seem to like light either, or noise or warmth, so we'll have to lure them away from the monastery, and then strike with all of you.
What about the camp?
Asked Waluigi.
I've never heard that one,
Said Shadow Weaver.
but it could be true. Who knows? But the dust-faced goats were just a legend, and these things are clearly real.
What's the worst that could happen? We try it.
Asked Waluigi.
We lose,
Said Alcina.
but we might get lucky.
Was
Asked Waluigi.
I can't we lose? We're
We could get killed.
Said Fluttershy.
I'm not saying we definitely will, but there's a chance we could.
Well, what other choice do we have?
Asked Discord.
This thing has been hounding us non-stop and it won't stop. We need to take out a potential rival orally and fast.
Yes.
Said Waluigi.
Become our fairy. Well, go for something. Then we could go on did those we've met on and on. Why? Maybe they couldn't or
That's a big maybe.
Said Discord.
Heard that one of the Dust-Faced Ghosts was killed by a Griffin King. You remember that one, right, Shadow Weaver?
I thought it was a Griffin Lord.
Said Shadow Weaver.
Yeah, that too.
Said Discord.
So, what do you think? It's not like we have much of a choice.
I guess we're
Said Waluigi. As Waluigi transformed into a white-winged butterfly, the others decided to head out to look for the dust-faced ghosts.
I wonder if it'll work.
Said Alcina.
It better.
Said Fluttershy. And that's where I decided to leave off this time, since I figured if we let the AI go ghost hunting, it could stretch the story out for quite a while. So I was pretty surprised by the direction this chapter took, but I found it very interesting. I'm not sure how well the lore introduced here matches up with what we've seen before, but I hope my decision for who to cast as the unnamed man and woman in the hotel suite will make sense as time goes on. Next time we're going to find out what this Dust-Faced Ghosts angle is that the AI just kind of introduced halfway through the story here. And we're also going to see a pretty big shift in the direction of this season, I think. So join me then, and if you happen to miss the previous episode, here's a little clip. Shadow Weaver slowly lifted her right arm into the air. On the underside of her sleeve, a long strip of cloth was tied.
What?
Fluttershy asked.
Watch.
Shadow Weaver said. She pulled the cloth from her sleeve. The strip was covered with small black beetles.
What?
Fluttershy asked again.
Read them.
What?
Read them.
That doesn't make sense.
Just do it.
Fluttershy hesitated for a moment, biting her lip. She then took the cloth with the beetles on it in her hand. She licked her lips, and then she ate the beetles. They tasted sweet and melted in her mouth. Once they were finished, Fluttershy put the cloth back on Shadow Weaver's sleeve.
What's that?
Alcina asked.
Nothing.
Said Shadow Weaver.
Forget about it.